A group of vape store owners is suing Denver over the city's ban on flavored nicotine. City Council passed the ban 2 years ago, but it just took effect this month. So here to break down what the lawsuit means is 9 News legal expert Whitney Traylor. Got a couple of questions for you.
All right.
In fact, we have at least 5 for you this morning.
Let's get through it.
Let's start with this. The ban was a voter ordinance. So we should talk about who the parties are that are involved in this suit.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I mean, I'm actually glad that we're doing this case because it really exemplifies kind of how our laws work and really our separation of powers between the different branches of government. Okay. So here, this is actually a trade association representing about 125 different vape companies and distributors and manufacturers that have come together, and they're suing the city of Denver and the Department of Public Health and Environment. And so this is related to the city council passed this ordinance. The voters actually passed it. And so now they're challenging the constitutionality of it.
Which seems crazy, right? I'm not the legal expert, you are, but I would think if the voters already said this is going to happen,
right,
the voters laid down the law, so to speak, but it's not that easy.
No, it's not that easy, and it's a good point. And this is what I was saying about how the separation of powers works, because essentially you have this law that was passed by a legislative body, if you will, and now the courts get to decide if it's constitutional or not. And so this is the same thing as if Congress had passed a law and then the Supreme Court said, no, this law is unconstitutional. And a lot of times what happens is Congress will go back and rewrite the law and actually put in the law, we're rewriting this based on this holding from the Supreme Court. So that's essentially what they're asking for to happen, is they're asking, starting in a Denver court, we want it to be determined unconstitutional, and most likely it will get appealed up to a higher court to make that affirm it or reverse it.
And again, when you say what they're asking for, you're talking about the vape store owners. They are the plaintiffs in this case, correct?
Right, and so they're looking for a permanent injunction. They're saying, hey, this flavor ban is unconstitutional, and they have a number of arguments. They say it violates the Colorado Constitution, and it's really actually quite interesting legal arguments. I'll try not to get too much in the weeds, but there's kind of 3 primary arguments. They're arguing equal protection because they're saying that the ordinance exempts hookah tobacco, and so they're saying you're treating us differently than the hookah folks. The dormant commerce clause, because they're saying out-of-state retailers would have to manufacture slightly different because of the advertising. And then they're saying it's a First Amendment issue because it's violating their commercial speech rights. So there are these real kind of technical legal arguments, but from as a legal expert, it's interesting to see how this is going to play out.
Do you see this perhaps going down the road of a settlement? I mean, what would a settlement in a case like this look like?
You know, that's a great question, and I don't think it will settle, and the reason is because there needs to be a determination if this is constitutional or not. So what I would expect, and the vast majority of civil cases settle out of court, and they should, because it's expensive, it's time-consuming, you don't know what's going to happen. But here, this is something where I think they need to go through it. Whoever wins will get to appeal it, and then that will become the law, and the city council can go from there.
We can do one more question if you can go quick.
Yes.
Could this open the door to similar lawsuits? Is there an example of something that would be similar to this?
Yeah, this actually could, and there's a lot of cases like this across the country where they're trying to ban the ban vape situation. Yep. And so I think, so yes, this could create precedent, but this is really also similar to, there was a lawsuit just a few months ago with the gas stoves, and there having to be a warning being put on there. And the same thing happened. A trade association came and is challenging that. So this is not uncommon for these trade associations to come together and try and challenge these laws as they affect their businesses in the trade association.
It's a good thing the courts stay busy. That keeps you busy here.
There you go.
On 9 News.
Yes.
Whitney, thanks for joining us again this morning.